Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Between the Walls podcast. We are your hosts. My name is Jess.
And I am Jonathan, and we are the Wallaces.
Yes, we are. How you doing today, honey?
I am good. How are you, my dear, lovely wife?
I'm good. Don't you guys love Jonathan's blue sweater?
One of my favorite things. Shout out to Black Friday.
You're definitely going to see me in that sweater, probably in the next podcast, so we just do a full outfit switch, because you do have this. We should do that. I'll wear the hat.
Yeah, we'll just switch outfits and see who, they all recognize, because now we're talking about it.
Yep. All right. I'll start with you. So, babe, what was your peak of the week?
My peak of the week is that my friends got married. That was pretty awesome.
That was really nice. Their wedding was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we went up to Jacksonville, Florida, for my one friend from PT school. Well, he's just my life friend now. It always feels weird saying
From
where a friend comes from, because it's like, are they a friend just to that? No, that's my friend. Yeah, he got married, and
our
that
friends,
was awesome.
It seems like our friends get married every week. That's that's been our peak of the week the past 2 weeks.
Yeah. Marriage is in the air.
Yeah.
Christmas is in the air.
Yeah. Wedding season. Okay, actually, I just know my peak of the week, and this might help somebody, and it may sound big back, but on our drive to Jacksonville, we were with one of Jonathan's friends. Well, I guess he's my friend too. We were with one of our friends, Ryan, in the car. We were talking about body image and all that fun stuff. So he told me something that really just made my day. He said, and this may help you guys too. He said, if you are on, I don't want to call it a weight loss journey, but a fitness journey. I would say a fitness journey, but you love to eat. He said, don't try to focus on both things at the same time. Don't try to focus on going to the gym every day and eating super clean. He's like, it's not attainable right away. Focus on the thing that you're best at. If you're really good at eating clean, start with that. Put the gym in later. But for me, out of the two, I'm better at going to the gym. So he said, start with the gym, eat how you normally would, and then progressively add in clean eating. So I was like, this is great news. Because, I kind of was doing that anyways, but I used to always feel like, sorry, this is just a completely different tangent, but I used to always feel like if I know I'm going to eat bad later, there's no point of going to the gym because, my healthy journey hasn't really started yet. But it's like, no, still go. Which I kind of knew that in the back of my head, but I had a new revelation. Why is that my peak of the week? Because my back is big. But other than that,
well,
I just love food.
I think that was good for Jess specifically because, like you said, you're usually an all or none kind of person.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm either all in or I'm just not in.
Yeah.
So I think that was good for you. However, I feel like I have to caution her in order to have her not have a license to eat literally whatever she wants.
No, I'm just eating how I normally would. I'm not going crazy. Just eating how I normally would. I'm not like, okay, let me get 10 cheeseburgers, but I went to the gym, so I'm okay. I'm just literally eating like most of America. Even though most of America is
you don't want to eat like most of America. You definitely don't want to eat like most of America.
All right, husband. Oh, you know what did make me kind of sad, though? I was watching the Perry's podcast, and Jackie Hill Perry is taking a 6-month hiatus from social media, period. But I think it's good for her because she was just talking about how she had a she had a big year. She did the conference, her songs, her EPs have come out. And she said she said she's used to getting criticism. But this year was the first year that she's gotten criticism from people within the church. So she was like, it's been a lot. So she said, it's nice to take a social media break every now and then. And for people like us, it's hard to do that because a lot of our businesses run through social media. But you got to do what you got to do for your mental health sometimes. So shout out to the Perrys.
Yeah, shout out to them.
Okay. Is my wig sliding back? I feel like you keep looking at it.
No, I'm just looking at your head.
Guys, Jonathan does this thing where he'll look at my wig line and he'll act like he didn't look, but I'm like, I saw your eyes go up.
But I'm not looking at it. It's just a thing.
No, you're looking at my wig line.
No, but
and it makes me self-conscious.
But I'm looking at it, but I'm not looking at it. You know what I mean?
Okay, what are we talking about today?
I kind of want to talk about greed and the flip side of it being generosity, especially we're on the
holiday season.
Holiday season.
Yeah.
Talking about giving versus our resources being for ourselves. Not that this is something that I've struggled with, but I do feel like when I get a paycheck or when I get paid or when I get my personal fund, I'm not necessarily thinking about, all right, how am I going to bless the community at large?
I thought you were going to say something else. I take that look back. Okay, go ahead.
I want to know what you were thinking.
I'll tell you later.
I'm not necessarily thinking about how I'm going to bless the community at large. I'm thinking about, all right, now, like, what am I going to buy? Or, like, how much am I going to save? Or how much are we putting away for XYZ? I've been saying XYZ a lot. But how much we're putting away. In a passage that I read in the Bible kind of made me rethink my whole mindset. Not that it's changed it all yet, but it's made me think a lot when we're doing our budget and whatnot.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is good, but I don't want to toot my own horn, but I feel like I've always been really good at giving. So I'm interested to see what you have to say, because I just love to give.
What I thought it would be good for us to do is go to the passage that I'm talking about and read it and talk about why maybe the way we think about our stuff, the way we think about our resources might be wrong. And the way that the world thinks about it, even though it sounds really smart, could be wrong as well. All right, cool. So we have our handy dandy Bibles here. We're going to go to Luke 12.
Oh, I'm glad you said Luke.
Why?
Because if you said one of them ones where I don't know where it is, it's going to be looking real funny.
We're going to Habakkuk.
I knew you was going to say that.
2.
That's what we were literally talking about that one last night.
Out the book of Joel.
Yeah.
You know what I realized that
I don't know where that is.
that Americans say Joel, but like Jamaicans say Joel.
Even like names?
Yeah, the name Joel.
Oh, Joel. Joel Osteen. His name's Joel. I've never called him Joel Osteen.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's real. That's black.
Joel.
Joel.
No, that's not black. I think it's just Jamaican.
Joel.
Just like how we don't say blessed, we say blessed.
Blessed. Yeah, when I say the Beatitudes, I never say blessed or the blah, blah, blah. It's always blessed.
And how your mom's name is really Gretel?
Yeah,
but it's
Gretel.
Gretel.
Gretel? That's so American.
No, I remember to some dude at our church, I was like, yeah, Jess's mom's name is Gretel. And he means, you mean Gretel?
How dare? Why do I feel like I know who that was?
You know exactly who that was. You mean Gretel?
I know exactly who said that. That's
it's
actually
like,
very funny.
No, I mean Gretel.
Gretel. Shout out to Gretel.
We are depending on you. All right.
Wait, you said Luke 12?
Yeah, Luke 12, verse 13.
Okay.
Someone from the crowd said to him, Jesus, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." "Friend," he said, "who appointed me a judge or arbitrator over you?" He then told them, "Watch out and be on guard against all greed, because one's life is not in the abundance of his possessions." Then he told them a parable. A rich man's land was very productive. He thought to himself, "What should I do, since I don't have anywhere to store my crops? I will do this," he said. "I will tear down my barns and build bigger ones and store all my grain and my goods there. Then I'll say to myself, you have many goods stored up for many years. Take it easy, eat, drink, and enjoy yourself." But God said to him, "You fool, this very night your life is demanded of you. And the things you have prepared, whose will they be?" That's how it is with the one who stores up treasure for himself and is not rich towards God.
All right.
Well, what do you think about that?
I feel like this is what we grow up learning. Like, okay, you get your paycheck and you make sure you don't spend it all. Make sure you're saving. You save. But of course, growing up in the church, we always heard about giving our 10% to the church, which I feel like tithing doesn't have to be a touchy subject, because most people are like, and this is a little off topic, are like, oh, the pastor got a new car with the 10%. It's like, I personally, not that I don't care. If I know for a fact the pastor is doing XYZ, that's a thing on his character. Maybe that I don't want that to be my pastor. But like, I'm giving my 10%. I don't know what's happening with that, but I'm giving because I'm supposed to. What happens with it is none of my business. But I'm not going to be like, I don't know what they're doing with it, so I'm not giving. No. I'm giving because I'm supposed to. So that's why it's not a touchy subject for me, because I'm doing what it's supposed to. Anyways.
Yeah, I was wondering, how did you get there from?
Because I was saying, we grow up hearing save. But as a Christian, we do grow up hearing put away your 10% to the Lord, save the blah, blah, and then spend whatever. So I feel like most people, though, grow up hearing save your money, put it away, put it in stocks, and blah, blah. But I feel like that's what this guy was doing here. It sounds like he's like, okay, I made enough. Let's retire and have a good time. And God's like, you fool. You're going to die. You died today. You died today.
Yeah,
where's all your stuff
you die right now.
Yeah, where does all your stuff go? But I feel like that is what we were pretty much raised to do. Put your money in stocks, put your money in savings so it can grow. And then you get to a certain age, you retire, and you live your best life.
Yeah, I feel like that's just the prevailing knowledge
Yeah.
of the day. It's like you have your 401k, you have your Roth IRA, and all that good stuff, which I don't think this is saying that that's a bad thing. But I think it's about where you're putting your affections and where you're putting your heart's treasure. Because when I read this at surface value, I'm like, okay, this guy is asking God, well, Jesus, who is God, a pretty reasonable question.
Yeah.
You know, in my head, he's like, all right, help me divide this up with my brother. And Jesus is like, first off, why are you asking me? Why are you asking me this? Who cares? But then when he tells the parable, I read what the guy says, and I'm like, that sounds about right. That sounds good.
Yeah, I'm like, so what's the issue here?
Yeah, it's like, I have too much stuff. Let me build a bigger barn so I can hold all my stuff. Because I'm like, that's exactly what I would do.
Right.
You know, that's exactly where my mind goes to. But he calls that guy the fool.
A fool.
You know? And I think that it threw me upside down pretty much. Because I'm like, this is so backwards to the way I was taught, the way society tells me what to do with my money. Even though I don't believe the 10% specifically is a number that God said you have to do 10% to give the church or blah, blah, blah. We tithe because it says bring the tithes into the storehouse. And we do tithe 10%, but I feel like that could give us also a false sense of, all right, I given my 10%.
The rest
now
is
let
mine.
me now let me go back to my 401k, my whatever, and the rest is mine. The rest is ours. Let's keep thinking of ways that we can benefit ourselves. Not in a bad way, but it's like I worked.
Right.
I deserve to benefit myself. And Jesus just flips that on its head. And I just thought that's pretty crazy. So what do you think about what our role is as believers in terms of how generous we should be, in terms of how we live our lives? Like how much of it should be like living for ourselves versus living for others?
Yeah, so our role as believers. Well, I always use this one guy as an example. I forgot his name. He's a very popular pastor, or at least he was. I remember listening to one of his sermons one day, and he says that, like, he makes a lot of money because he's a very popular pastor. He spends money on the necessities only. He's talking about how he's had the same pair of shoes for years. You know who I'm talking about?
You talking Francis Chan?
Yes, him. He's had the same pair of shoes for years. He's like, I want one pair of shoes. I live in a small house, whatever. I do my necessities, and I give the rest away. And I remember when I heard that, I was like, you got another thing coming, big dog, because that ain't me. Which, I'm going to be honest, it's still not me, but I just thought that was so noble. Like, I feel like that is maybe the
heart behind what this sounds like.
Yeah, it's like the heart behind what this is. He's not storing up a whole bunch of stuff for, like, well, I mean, maybe he does have a retirement plan. I don't know the details, but it sounds like he's doing a lot of giving.
Yeah.
And I feel like we do a lot of saving and minimal giving, and maybe it needs to be flipped. I'm really not sure.
Me
I mean,
neither.
maybe it's different for everybody.
That's why I think it's a good conversation. There's another pastor, Rick Warren. He wrote a book called The Purpose Given Life.
Driven.
Driven? Mm-hmm. What did I say?
Given.
Purpose Given Life.
Okay.
The Purpose Driven Life. And he said at one point that he reversed tithes. So he gives 90% and lives off
God bless him.
10%.
God bless him.
So he was like, yeah, I'm still saving up for this particular car or whatever. And that's just a life, model. Why can't
Are you
I
okay?
speak?
It's Jamaican
Am I having
today.
a
A life
stroke?
muggled by the thing there.
A life modeled by more than saving, because it's like, oh, I could save all X, Y, Z, but am I really living to give rather than to save?
Yeah, so when you were saying that, it was making me think, like, and this is all just conversation purposes. We haven't landed on what we really think yet. This is just conversation, because I don't know right now. Maybe I'll land on something later, but it makes me think of, like, my God shall supply all my needs according to his riches and glory. It's like, do we not trust that he will provide all our needs because we're saving so much? I know for us, like my job, I do content creation. Who knows when YouTube just decides to shut down or whatever? I can lose my password and everything can be taken away from me in any second. My job has zero security. Zero.
Yeah.
So I know that we save because we just don't know. Or like, say I get pregnant and God forbid I have to be on bed rest and I can't work or whatever. We save for things like that. There is no PTO for me or whatever. We save for things like that, but then it makes me also think, are we not trusting that God will provide? Because we have to save for ourselves. But at the same time, are we not stewarding our money and our finances? I don't know. It's gray.
It's tough, and I think that's why the conversation needs to be had. And I think the church can look in a bad light, a lot of the time, because a lot of times when we speak about blessing, a lot of times it's like, oh, so God will let you get the house or that second house, or, he'll give you like lots of increase. Increase is great and whatnot. But when I'm thinking about the disciples and the apostles, like the people that we have on record that were the closest to Jesus and about living for Jesus.
They had nothing.
They didn't have much at all.
They had the presence of Jesus.
They had, but that's all they needed.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like you said, if God will provide for our needs, how much more sacrificially should we be living, more so than here's my 10%. And I don't necessarily mean giving to church, per se. That's something that you can do, like give more money to church. But I'm talking about living sacrificially in terms of whether it be time, resources, your brother or sister in Christ, or neighbor, somebody who don't need something. Or even if they don't need something, but they might have a dream or have a desire, and we know we could sow into that, how much more so should we be doing stuff like that? So that was kind of breaking my brain a little bit.
What do you think about giving because you have extra, or just like giving like, dang, I needed this, but I'm going to give it? Is there...
I feel like sometimes it should be a little bit of both of that. But I think that's going to require us, me and you, to be more pressed into God's spirit, to hear where he is leading us to be more generous. Because I think sometimes generosity is hard. Radical generosity, not the regular, like, I got a little extra.
Yeah, there's like generosity and there's like sacrifice.
Yeah, sacrificial, like dying to self level of generosity. Because there is, some margin in our budget where if one of our parents or one of our brothers needed something, it's like no second thought.
Yeah.
But I don't believe, have had to give to a point where it's like, now there's no food on my plate, so that I could give food to my brother, knowing that God will provide.
Right, yeah.
And it's how much of that should we be doing?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That is the question. I mean, I don't know if there is a right answer. I know there is a wrong answer, I think. But I don't know if there's a right answer.
What's the wrong answer?
The wrong answer is what's in this text here. You're putting away all of your stuff. It seems like he had a lot of goods left over, and he said, well, let me just make a bigger place so I can store them all in there. I don't see anywhere in here, not that it's not there, but I don't see anywhere in here him saying, let me go to the homeless shelter and give them some, or let me call up my cousin and blah, 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 blah. It just seems like he was keeping everything. And exactly what God said to him, you fool, you will die this very night. Then who will get everything you worked for? So it seems like he kept everything, didn't give anything to anybody. And that's what I feel is the wrong answer. I don't know what the right answer is, but I feel like this is the wrong way to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I don't think especially since everyone's situation is different. I'm not going to tell someone with 7 kids to be like, don't be saving up. You have money left over, you need to give it away. Like, you got kids and mouths to feed. Like that, I feel like everyone's situation is different. Although I still do believe that no matter the situation, maybe there is a way to give. I don't know. And it's hard to say that because we come from a place of privilege. We have a lot.
Remember, Jesus was preaching in the synagogue, and some guy came in and dropped in, I might be watching it a little bit, came and dropped in like a lot of money. And then this one poor lady came in and dropped in like the few pennies that she had. And Jesus commented that this one lady, even though she didn't have much, she gave much more than the person who did have much, who was just giving out of his excess.
Yeah.
Versus like, this is what I got.
Yeah.
And living like that. I do think it is so hard for me personally to break out of that saving mindset. Well, a saving mindset's not a bad thing. We're not saying a saving mindset's a bad thing.
Yes.
It's very good to save.
Yes.
And very good to be a good steward of your money. But I think this conversation is best when it makes you a little uncomfortable because it makes you rethink a bit. But it's hard for me to break out of that mindset because I realize how much, especially on months when you do have less income, how much I think I really trust God until it comes time to really trust God. Because it's like, yeah, I trust God for sure. Yeah, me and him are cool.
It's easy to trust God when things are going well.
It's like, no, I trust him so much.
Yeah.
I trust him. But then when life gets a little hairy in terms of finances, I'm like, oh my God, it's over.
What are we going to do?
What are we going to do? And I really feel that. But I think one of the reasons giving is important is because it puts you in a position to trust God more. The next passage under this, which I want to get into as well, this one's much more popular, but when you read them together, I think some good stuff comes out of it. Perspective.
You want me to read this?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, I can't read.
It's okay, babe.
Did I ever tell you the story about how when we were at Bible study, when I was like 13 or 14, they asked me to read out loud, and my uncle was there for some reason. And
Uncle Gary?
No, Uncle Donut.
Oh.
And he told my dad I couldn't read.
Were you stuttering?
I don't know. I think I was a little sleepy, and they asked me to read, and I just wasn't all there. He told my dad I couldn't read.
Bro, not the popcorn reading in school will have your heart pounding.
Anxiety for
Even
real.
when you know if you're reading in a line, you know you're coming up next. Please believe I'm like counting and I'm like reading ahead so that I could know exactly what I was going to read. And I'm like, wait till it's my turn. Anyways.
I sound like one of those kids. In the.
Ooh, that's tough. I was always a pretty good reader. I don't even read that much, but I'm a pretty good, I read pretty well.
No,
Watch me ruin
I'm
this.
joking, but I think I have like performance anxiety.
I could make a joke, but it's not funny.
My wife's mean, guys. Anyways, as we return to God's
All
word.
right, back to the Bible. Okay, teaching about money and possessions. Then, turning to his disciples, Jesus said, "That is why I tell you not to worry about everyday life, whether you have enough food to eat or enough clothes to wear. For life is more than food, and your body more than clothing. Look at the ravens. They don't plant or harvest or store food in barns, for God feeds them, and you are far more valuable to him than any birds. Can all your worries add a single moment to your life? And if worrying can't accomplish a little thing like that, what's the use of worrying over bigger things? Look at the lilies and how they grow. They don't work or make their clothing, yet Solomon in all his glory was not dressed as beautifully as they are. And if God cares so wonderfully for flowers that are here today and thrown into the fire tomorrow, he will certainly care for you. Why do you have so little faith? And don't be concerned about what to eat and what to drink. Don't worry about such things. These things dominate the thoughts of unbelievers all over the world, but your Father already knows your needs. Seek the kingdom of God above all else, and he will give you everything you need. So don't be afraid, little flock, for it gives your Father great happiness to give you the kingdom. Sell your possessions and give to those in need. This will store up treasure for you in heaven. And the purses of heaven never get old or develop holes. Your treasures will be safe. No thief can steal it, and no moth can destroy it. Wherever your treasure is, there the desires of your heart will be also."
I think this passage is just so good, whether it's for anxiety, for greed, for giving, for whatever. I think this really helps frame what a kingdom mindset about possessions looks like. In the translation I'm reading, it says, "Sell your possessions and give to the poor. Make money bags for yourself that won't grow old, an inexhaustible treasure in heaven, where no thief comes near and no moth destroys." It's just a reorienting about what's important.
Yeah.
What do you think about when you read this or your mind goes to this?
It really gives your God will supply all your needs. And I love the example of like the lilies, and it's like
The ravens.
Yeah, like God, the birds are out here being fed every day. Yeah, the birds out here being fed. It's like, and God cares about us 1,000,000 times more than these birds. We're going to be okay. That's basically what this whole thing is telling you. You're going to be fine. Relax. In short. I do think people take verse 31 out of context a little bit. Seek the kingdom above all else, and God will give you everything you need.
Yeah. What out of context?
I
do you think
mean,
people
I
would take that?
underlined it, and I'm trying to think of what I was going through at the time. I mean, I probably was just reading it in passing and like, oh, that's great. But I just feel like people are think like, oh, let me just press into God, and then my desires are going to come true. I feel like people confuse the word need with their heart's desires, and like that's not what he said.
Not at all.
That is not what he said.
Yeah, I think people read into that. Seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and He will give you everything that you want.
Mm-hmm. I think another version maybe says like, and all these things will be added unto you or something.
Added on to you.
But
But
it's
these things He's talking about, it was what it's talking about early in the passage.
Mm-hmm.
People, I think, take these things to mean whatever I want.
Yeah, I mean, if you just pick out that verse alone, yeah.
Well, that's a danger of picking out verses
Yeah.
in and of themselves and not really looking at what's around it, because you have the background of having the parable about the rich fool, which we just read, and Jesus talking about not worrying about eating or drinking or worry about the clothes or your shelter.
Yeah.
Don't worry, that I'll take care of that. And I think one thing that stands out to me in this is that God is talking to people who are worried about literally what they're going to eat, what they're going to wear, how they're going to make ends meet. And he tells those people to sell your possessions and give to the poor.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, I am the poor. What do you
I
mean?
am the poor. It's like someone needs to give to me.
Right, yeah.
And I think a mindset of a lot of people, including me sometimes, is that I'll give when I get something to give, not knowing or realizing that even when we feel like we have little, that is more reason to give. Because when we think about the little that we have, we're thinking to ourselves to make up for what we don't have.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, how am I going to get this food? How am I going to get this money? How am I going to put this on the plate? How am I going to do it? But when in that circumstance, I feel like you give more to God or give more to others, it reminds you that, all right, God, now I really don't got it.
Right, yeah.
It has to be you that's going to do it, or I'm going to starve, or I'm going to not have enough to pay this bill, or I'm not going to have enough to have for retirement.
Right.
And I think that is just so backwards from the way the world works.
Yeah. So, I mean, the world is not teaching the Bible.
But
So,
but I think even some things inside the church work.
explain.
I just feel like in church, you know, we kind of talk about the tithe a little earlier, but it's like, just give your tithe and yeah, that's it. That's all you need to do. And I'm not talking about any specific church. I'm talking about the church in general. It's like, I think when we talk about giving and when we talk about blessing in general, I feel like we talk about things that are very material. Like a very materialistic mindset of those things.
Yeah.
That it's like, oh, when God's going to bless you, it's like God's going to give you stuff. You know, give to God so God will give to you. That it's like about stuff. It's about Him giving you things. When I feel like the currency that God deals most in when He's talking about blessing or when He's talking about giving isn't necessarily like material. Do you know what I'm saying? Or
No, absolutely. This is one of my things that I don't love, and I can fall blame to this as well sometimes, where people think that, oh, I'm going to give because God's going to bless it or something like that. And it's like, that shouldn't be the heart behind giving ever. And I feel like sometimes that can be and I don't want to talk down on the church because there's enough of that going on already, and I don't think we need to do that here. But I feel like that can be how it's portrayed, especially when we're doing like testimonies sometimes or whatever. Like they want to find the person who has the best testimony if they gave and they got something in return in order to encourage other people that this can happen to you as well. You give this and you're going to get back the same way that this person did. And not to say that it can't happen, but that shouldn't be the heart behind our giving. I remember my very first job, I remember telling myself, and I was like 17, that I'm going to give my entire first paycheck to tithes and offering, whatever.
Look at you.
Yes, I gave my whole 100%.
That girl a Christian for real.
It was like $360 for like 2 weeks. And I remember I was like, I'm going to give the whole thing. I was really just giving because I'm like, I'm so grateful that God gave me this job. I want to give it back to Him. But I was not expecting anything in return. And not to say that's why things worked out so well. That's like one time that I can remember I had such a pure and genuine heart. But I was naive at the time, which it worked out well. But I feel like as life got more rough and I actually needed things or I wanted things, there are times where I've given and I'm like, you see that, God? You see what I did there? Even when it came to the Sephora squad, I feel like I didn't say this to God, but in the back of my head, I'm like, God, give me that Sephora squad and I can help a lot of people. But I'm like wagering. I'm like, give it to me. I mean, I'm going to help myself first because I remember saying, okay, I'm going to do this for myself first. And then as time goes and I get more money from the squad, I'm going to help other people. So I just feel like you have to do a heart check when it comes to your giving.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of times we can give in order to make God be in debt to us. Right? It's
I could never be.
I don't think anyone does that on purpose.
Purposely.
You know, it's like, all right, I'm giving.
Look at
They
me.
said that, I give, so like I now, you got to give me what you owe me now. But I think that we give because it models how Jesus gave. And I think that even if we didn't give, God's going to be good to us because God loves to give good gifts to his children. Because he's good, not because we're good.
Right.
Because I think if we have a mindset of, I'm good and I did good things, so God should do good things to me, I think in those situations when bad things happen in life, and most of the time Jesus is talking about when bad things happen or when bad things are going to happen. But if we only think about like, okay, I've done good, now God give me good. When bad times come, you're not going to be prepared and you're going to feel like God cheated you.
Right. Like,
It's like, but what about
all these things right?
What about all the things that I did?
Right.
And it's like,
giving doesn't make you exempt from life happening to you.
It doesn't make you exempt from anything.
Yeah.
But we give because God tells us to give and because God is a good giver. But anything that God gives to you or any blessing or material blessing that he gives you is because he's good. Because he loves to give good gifts to his children.
Yes. And that's why we pray, like, Jesus, make me like you. Because do I love to give all the time? Not necessarily. I think I would say I can say I think I'm good at giving, but actually I'm good at giving because I have. But when the money is out and it's like the lady who gave her a few nickels or her a few coins or whatever and she didn't have any, I, to God be the glory, have not been in that position for a while. I lived with my parents until I was well enough to move out. So even when I was living with my parents, I had money because they weren't charging me for nothing. So I had money. So there's never been really a time where I was like, God, I need money. I don't know how I'm going to make it to the next paycheck. So I don't know what it's like to give from nothing. I'm always giving from something. So I can't say, oh, I'm good at giving. I mean, I'm good at giving for where I'm at, but I haven't been tested on my giving.
Yeah, but I think even in whatever space that we're in, I think that one thing God's been telling me from this season in terms of our giving, I think that we should give to the level of which we will feel something. That maybe that there's something that, and I'm not saying that we'll get there like right now. I just feel like God's calling us to a place where there's maybe something that we would have wanted to buy for ourselves. Something that we would like, that we have the money for, we wanted to buy it for ourselves, but it's like, we have to save up a little bit more for that because we're going to be generous. And that's not so that God can do any special favors for us, but because we're most like Jesus when we do give.
Say that again.
We're most like Jesus when we do give.
When we give. Yeah.
And the gift goes on.
And the gift goes on. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways it's going to be a very uncomfortable conversation because it's like, but like I worked for my money and I want the stuff that I want.
Yeah, especially I think it can be very uncomfortable to people who really are living paycheck to paycheck. And I can understand how, I don't want this to come off wrong and I don't want us to sound like we're millionaires either, but we are.
Which we are very much so not.
We're not, but we are comfortable. Even saying comfortable, it makes it sound like we have a lot of money.
No, I mean,
we are.
Yeah,
we're doing good.
All right.
We're doing good. So I don't want it to sound tone deaf to people who are like, I don't even know how my lights are off right now, and you're telling me to give when all your lights are on and then some. So
I don't know what that's like, but I will say, like Jess said, we definitely are empathetic to whatever the situation is, whatever your situation is, and I do want to say that. Even if you don't want to hear this right now, that God is going to provide for you. Like Jess said, the verse is God will supply all my needs according to his glorious riches. All this that he said, even look at the lilies of the field, look at the ravens that God provides for them. It's that God will continue to provide for you, even if you don't see where it's coming from now. So it's, even when you don't see it, He's working. Even when you don't see it, trusting God's character. In Numbers, it says that God's not a man that he should lie. He's not a son of man, so he cannot change his mind. So it's that he's not going to lie to you. So what he said in terms of him caring for you and moving in your favor, he's going to do it. And sometimes in those seasons, he might call you to say, hey, I know you only have $5, but I want you to give that to somebody. And it's in those times being obedient to him, because knowing that if he sacrificed his son for us, you can know that he'll care for you in the much smaller things than that. So,
yeah. And if you are the person who does have more, and you know someone whose lights are off, then you be the person to bless them, so that they can have their testimony. It's like, I had nothing and God came through for me, because God does use you to bless people. So bless somebody.
yeah. So I think that it's great that you said that, because that's what the church really looks like. I think a lot of times we can get this idea that the church is the building, the service, this whole spectacle,
lights and all that,
especially during Christmas time when we're doing it up as churches, like we try to do it big. But what the church is really, and what it should be, is the people. In Acts 2, it talks about what the original church was like. In Acts 2, verse 42, it says, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, to fellowship and the breaking of bread, and to prayer. Everyone was filled with awe, and many wonders and signs were being performed through the apostles. Now all the believers were together and held all things in common. 45, they sold their possessions and property and distributed the proceeds to all, as any had need. Every day they devoted themselves to meeting together in the temple and broke bread from house to house. They ate their food with joyful and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all people. So what the church should be, ideally, is that I have, you don't have, now we have. A true what's mine is yours mentality. My brother's hungry. I'm not going to say, praying for you, man.
Tough.
That's tough, bro. I'm really praying for you, man. You got it. You got it, though. God got you.
Yeah.
But it's like, I could got you too.
Right.
Because we are supposed to be the hands and feet of Jesus. So as the hands and feet of Jesus, that we can lay hands, and if we have, give.
Yeah.
And if you need, accept.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. And if you need, not only accept, but reach out. It's a lot of
100%.
We could be in pride or being embarrassed. It's like, I don't want anyone to know my lights are off, or I don't want anyone to know that I need help buying my kids' school books or whatever. It's like you have to ask for help, which is off topic, but people can't give if they don't know.
Yeah.
So.
And it's evil for us to know our brother and sister has a need and know we have the means to meet it and not give or do so.
Yeah. It's not always easy, because we had 2 extra bedrooms, but if someone came here and said, I need to stay with you for a year, I'd be like, oh, no. I do that. I'm gonna be like, hey, I'll give you 6 weeks and then we can revisit. But if someone came and said, I have nowhere to stay, I need a place to live for a year, that would not be ideal. But we have the means and they have nowhere to go. So it would be our job to give.
And I would say to people that may think that you're giving yourself to be taken advantage of, that's not what we're saying either. Sometimes giving and loving somebody is helping them form a plan to be self-sufficient, but not continually giving to enable, which oftentimes can be not loving.
Right.
Do you get what I'm saying? That enabling somebody by continuing to feed a habit, or, somebody has a gambling thing and it's like, man, I'm really in need because I have my gambling thing. Giving them money isn't necessarily loving.
Right.
Buying them food might be a more loving thing to do in that scenario.
Right.
Pooling together with other people that you know to help pay for their therapy or their counseling so they could break free of that may be something more loving that you can do for them. So I'm not just saying to throw money at throw money at
Right.
at
Doesn't
things.
solve everything. Yeah.
No, yeah. So sometimes it might be giving of your time or your energy, or you got what I'm saying.
I got you.
I think this is good.
Yeah. Give.
And the gift goes on.
The Christmas song.
Which one?
Why don't you
Give love on Christmas Day.
wait? Are we done talking about this? Because now I
Yeah,
have something
I'm done.
unserious to say.
I'm done. Go ahead.
All right. We'll do a wrap up.
Jesus loves you. Jesus is going to give you good things. Give.
What? See, I feel like that kind of goes against a lot that we said. I feel like in the sequence that you used.
All right. We can feel free to give to others knowing that God gives good gifts to his children and he's going to provide for us.
Yes.
We
all
don't
our
give
needs.
to get things from God. God gives us good things because he is God.
Mm-hmm.
But because he is God and we know that he will take care of our needs, we can feel free to give from what we have or even don't have sometimes because we know he's going to provide for us.
Amen, brother. Love it.
What'd you have to say?
Well, it was so unserious that I don't even care to say it anymore.
Well then, all right. Yeah, we have a few more episodes before Christmas, so we'll see you next week.
Yes, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share this video to someone who it may help. Also, we're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify
There you go.
Podcasts every Tuesday, and you can catch us here every Monday. With that being said, we out.
Why don't you give love on Christmas
All right, now I have to say it. We were listening to
Day?
Christmas music the other night. It was just 3 songs. Literally just 3. Not even songs. It was instrumentals, like jazz instrumentals. And Jonathan was like, "Can you turn this off?" I'm like, "How? Excuse me?" And then no. He's ready to say something. I'm like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "It's only really been 3 songs." He's like, "Yeah, but I don't want to get tired of it before Christmas comes." And at that moment, it hit me that you think you're only supposed to listen to Christmas music on Christmas Day?
No, unlike, you ramp up. So the week after Thanksgiving, you start with a little bit of Christmas music, right? And then the week after that, you have a little bit more. Then the week after that, you have a pretty good amount of Christmas music. And the
That's
week
where
of
we're at. We're like 2 weeks after Christmas now.
I understand, but we had been playing a lot of Christmas music in the house, like the YouTube that my friend
Who?
my friend gave me YouTube Premium, and so it plays without ads. So Jess plays Christmas music in the house from there. So the algorithm now plays Christmas jazz music after
Dang.
every video. So I've been
Dang.
hearing a lot of Christmas jazz music plus hearing Christmas music out. So I just want to still love it and be ready for actual Christmas. Stop looking at whatever you're looking at. I don't know what you're looking
Jonathan
at.
doesn't. He hates Christmas.
No, I love Christmas.
No,
But
he doesn't.
You know what's so funny?
He does not love Christmas.
At Crumble yesterday, they're like blasting Christmas music in
As
there.
they should.
As the employee gave me my cookies, I asked her, "Hey, do you guys get like tired of
See,
the
like
Christmas music?"
why would you say that?
She
That's
goes,
that's somebody who hates Christmas.
No. She goes, "I am so exhausted of hearing this music not all the time. I can't play it anymore any other time."
Well, that's fair.
And I
But
just don't
listening
want to
to
be like the
8
Crumble. I just
okay,
want to be like the
babe,
Crumble
8
lady.
hours every day is different than the 3 songs we heard the other day.
I'm just saying that the day before that there was a few hours, and the day before that there was a few hours.
In this house? Okay, Jonathan's making up stuff now. So we can end this vlog because he's not serious and Jonathan hates Christmas.
Well,
I
this
love
isn't
you
even a
guys.
vlog. This isn't even a
and
vlog,
I will
so
see you. Oh, what
This isn't even a vlog.
We can wrap up this podcast now. I love Christmas. Jonathan hates
Why
it.
don't you
Bye, guys.
give love on
hope the whole thing was not
Christmas
recorded.
Day? On Christmas
All
Day.
right, we gotta go. I'm late.
Even the man and the couple upstairs
Finish. All needs to
know there's someone who cares.